The old dragon had seen 300 winters pass from her cave in the high peaks. Silvara stretched her silver wings and watched smoke rise from the human village below. Not cooking fires. These flames carried the wrong scent. Ashwood Valley had been peaceful for all the years she remembered. Farmers worked their fields. Children played by the river. The humans rarely looked up toward the mountains anymore. They had forgotten that dragons still existed in this corner of the galaxy. That suited Silvara fine. Her kind had made a choice long ago to step back from the affairs of younger species. Too much interference had caused too much pain in the old days. The ships came without warning. 5 of them, black and angular, dropping through the clouds like hunting birds. Silvara recognized the design. KRYLL raiders. They swept over the valley with weapons blazing. Buildings exploded. The human defense towers fired back, but their shots barely scratched the alien hulls. Silvara dug her claws into the rock beneath her. Ancient law was clear. Dragons did not interfere. These conflicts between species were not her concern. She had lived by this rule for centuries. Her parents had died following this rule. Her siblings had scattered across the galaxy following this rule. But something felt different today. The humans fought hard. She could see them running through streets, trying to organize a defense. Some had old projectile weapons that sparked harmlessly off KRYLL armor. Others threw themselves at the invaders with nothing but farm tools. Brave, foolish. Human Point 1 building burned hotter than the rest. The schoolhouse. Silvara remembered when they had built it 30 years ago. She had watched from this same perch as humans celebrated its completion. Now its roof collapsed inward, sending sparks high into the afternoon sky. Movement caught her eye. 2 humans emerged from a side door, coughing in the smoke. A man and a woman. They carried something between them. No, someone. A small figure with dark hair. The KRYLL spotted them immediately. 3 of the raiders moved to intercept. The man pushed the woman and child behind him. He raised a pistol with shaking hands. The weapon clicked empty. He threw it at the nearest KRYLL and charged forward with his bare fists. Silvara turned away. She had seen enough death in her long life. This was the nature of the galaxy. Strong preyed on weak. Species rose and fell. Dragons had learned not to pick sides. She heard the woman scream. Something inside her chest twisted. A feeling she had not experienced in decades. Her mother had called it the soul ache. The pain that came from witnessing injustice and choosing to look away. The woman fell next. The child ran, tiny legs pumping desperately. The building behind her groaned and began to collapse. KRYLL soldiers advanced from the front. Burning timber fell from above. The child had nowhere to go. Silvara spread her wings. 3 centuries of isolation ended in that moment. She dove from the mountain peak, tucking her wings tight against her body. The air screamed past her scales. Below, the child stumbled and fell. Above, the building's main support beam gave way. The dragon hit the ground between the child and the KRYLL raiders so hard the earth shook. Her tail swept out and caught 2 of the soldiers, sending them tumbling. Her wings snapped up just as the burning beam crashed down. Timber shattered against ancient scales. The KRYLL opened fire. Energy bolts splashed against her hide. They stung but did not penetrate. She snatched the child in one foreclaw, careful not to let her talons pierce the small body, and launched herself skyward. The warships turned to track her. Their main guns swiveled. Silvara rolled sideways as a plasma beam cut through the space where she had been. She jinked left, then right, then folded her wings and dropped into a canyon. The walls blurred past on either side. Behind her, the KRYLL ships struggled to follow. They were built for open space combat, not canyon running. She emerged into a hidden valley and banked hard toward the mountain face. There was an opening here, invisible unless you knew exactly where to look. She shot through it with barely a wingspan to spare and pulled up into the ancient cave system. Darkness swallowed them both. Far back in the tunnels where no light reached, Silvara finally landed. She set the child down gently on the stone floor. Her hearts were pounding. Both of them. She had not moved that fast in 50 years. The child lay motionless. For a terrible moment, Silvara thought she had crushed the small body. Then the girl coughed. She rolled on her side and gasped for air. Silvara backed away to give her space. She called up a small flame in her throat, just enough to see by. The light reflected off the child's wide eyes. The girl stared up at her. Silvara suddenly saw herself as the child must see her. A massive creature with silver scales and glowing eyes. A monster from old stories. The child screamed. Silvara extinguished her flame and retreated further into the darkness. She heard the girl crying. Lost. Terrified. Alone except for the dragon who had just destroyed everything the child thought she knew about the world. Outside, in the valley below, Ashwood Village continued to burn. The KRYLL would search for them. They would not give up easily. A dragon was a valuable prize. And witnesses were loose ends. Silvara had broken the oldest law of her kind. There was no going back now. She curled her body around the cave entrance and listened to the child weep. After a long time, exhaustion claimed the girl and the crying stopped. Small breaths echoed in the darkness. The dragon closed her eyes and wondered what she had done. She had saved one life. But what cost? The KRYLL would hunt them both now. Other dragons would consider her an oath breaker. She had no plan, no destination, no idea how to care for a human child. All she knew was that when she had seen that little girl about to die, something in her ancient heart had refused to accept it. Some truths mattered more than laws. Some lives were worth the cost of breaking old promises. Tomorrow would bring new problems. Tonight, she would stand guard and keep the darkness at bay. 3 days passed in the cave before the child spoke her first word. Silvara had learned patience over centuries, but these 3 days tested her in new ways. The girl would not eat, would not look at her, just sat against the far wall and stared at nothing. The dragon tried everything she could think of. She brought fresh water in her cupped claw. The child ignored it. She caught a mountain goat and cooked it carefully with a thin stream of fire breath. The smell filled the cave, but the girl did not move. Silvara began to worry that humans were too fragile for this kind of trauma. Maybe the child's mind had broken. On the 3rd day, hunger won. The girl crawled toward the cooked meat when she thought Silvara was sleeping. The dragon kept her eyes closed and listened to the child eat. Small victories. That night the girl finally spoke. My name is Lily. Silvara opened one eye. The child sat 10 feet away, hugging her knees. She looked so small in the firelight. I am called Silvara, the dragon replied. Her voice rumbled deep in her chest. She tried to speak softly, but even her whispers sounded like distant thunder. You kill those things. The ones who hurt my parents. Lily's voice was flat, empty. I drove them away. They may return. Good. The girl's hands clenched into fists. I want them to come back. I want you to kill all of them. Silvara said nothing. She recognized the sound of rage masking grief. She had made that same sound herself once, long ago, when her nest sister died. My mom taught me that dragons were stories, Lily continued. Made up things to scare children. But you're real. You're really real. Yes. Why did you save me? The stories say dragons don't care about humans. The question hung in the air between them. Silvara considered her answer carefully. I'm not sure, she finally said. I saw you about to die, and I could not accept it. Sometimes we surprise ourselves. Lily looked down at her hands. They were dirty and scratched. Everyone else is gone. My mom, my dad, my brother, everyone. I am sorry. Sorry doesn't bring them back. The girl's voice cracked. Nothing brings them back. Silvara had no answer for that. It was true. Death was final. 300 years had taught her this lesson many times over. She stretched her neck forward slowly, carefully, until her massive head was close to the child. Lily did not pull away. But you are here, Silvara said. You survived. That matters. The child reached out one small hand and touched the scales on the dragon's snout. Her fingers traced the patterns there. You're warm. I thought dragons would be cold like snakes. We are fire breathers. Our blood runs hot. Lily leaned her head against Silvara's jaw. The dragon froze, afraid to move and startle her. After a moment, she felt wetness on her scales. The child was crying again, but this time without sound. Silvara curved her neck around the girl, making a wall of scales between her and the rest of the world. They stayed like that until Lily fell asleep. The next morning brought new problems. The cave only had one entrance, and Silvara heard engines echoing through the mountains. KRYLL search parties. They were being thorough, methodical. They would find this hiding place eventually. Lily woke to the sound and immediately went pale. They're looking for us. Yes. We cannot stay here much longer. Where can we go? They'll find us anywhere. Silvara had spent the night thinking about exactly this question. There's a place, very far from here, beyond the territories the KRYLL control. An old sanctuary of my kind. Other dragons. Hope flickered in the child's eyes. Perhaps. I have not been there in a century. It may be abandoned now, but it is the safest place I know. How far? Several weeks of travel. The path will be dangerous, but staying here means certain death. Lily stood and brushed dust from her clothes. They were torn and burned from the attack. She looked too small to survive a journey across hostile territory, too young to have lost everything and kept going. But something in her eyes reminded Silvara of forged steel, tested by fire and made stronger. When do we leave? The girl asked. Tonight. We travel by darkness. They spent the day preparing. Silvara showed Lily how to make a harness from salvaged materials in the cave. Other dragons had used this hiding place over the years. They left behind bits of rope and cloth. Lily proved clever with her hands, weaving the pieces into something that would hold her secure on the dragon's back. As the sun set, Silvara heard the search parties drawing closer. Time was up. She lowered herself so Lily could climb aboard. The child settled between her wing joints and tied herself in place. Hold tight, Silvara warned. Do not let go no matter what happens. I won't. The dragon crept to the cave entrance and peered out. 3 KRYLL ships patrolled the valley below. More moved through the mountain passes. They had her surrounded. Any attempt to fly would be spotted immediately. Silvara smiled, showing many teeth. They expected her to flee, to run like prey, but she was 3 centuries old. She had forgotten more about combat than these young raiders had learned. She launched from the cave entrance at full speed, diving straight down the mountain face. Lily shrieked in fear, but held on. The KRYLL ships detected the motion and turned to pursue. Plasma bolts lit up the night sky. Silvara twisted between them, using the mountain itself as cover. She led the ships on a chase through narrow canyons, places where their bulky hulls could not follow. When she had split them up, she turned on the nearest one. Her fire breath melted its forward sensors. The ship careened into a cliff wall and exploded. The other ships pulled back, suddenly cautious. Silvara did not give them time to reorganize. She climbed hard toward the cloud layer and punched through into the night above. Below, the searchlights swept back and forth, looking for her. She was already gone, racing eastward with a small human child clinging to her back. That Lily's grip loosened as the adrenaline faded. That was amazing. You flew right at them. They were in my way. Are you scared of them finding us again? Silvara considered the question. I'm scared of failing to protect you. Everything else is secondary. The child was quiet for a moment. Then, so softly the dragon almost missed it. Thank you for coming back for me, for not leaving me there. I will not leave you, Silvara promised. Not now, not ever. You have my word. Below them, the scorched plains spread out in all directions. The real journey had begun. The dragon flew on through the darkness, carrying hope on her back. The scorched plains earned their name. Ancient weapons from a forgotten war had turned this entire region into a nightmare of twisted metal and poisoned earth. Nothing grew here. Nothing lived here. Perfect for hiding, terrible for survival. Silvara glided low over the broken landscape. Lily had fallen asleep against her back, exhausted from 3 days of constant travel. The dragon envied her ability to sleep. Silvara's wings ached and her injured shoulder throbbed where KRYLL bolt had grazed her during their escape. She needed rest, but could not risk landing yet. Not while they remained in contested territory. The sun rose blood-red through chemical haze. Lily woke coughing. My throat hurts. The air here is bad. Cover your mouth with cloth. Silvara adjusted her flight path toward a rock formation in the distance. We will rest there soon. They landed in the shadow of a leaning tower, some kind of defense structure from the old war. Half of it had melted into glass. Lily climbed down on shaking legs and immediately collapsed. Silvara caught her before she hit the ground. I am fine, the girl insisted. Just dizzy. You need water and real food. I can hunt, but everything in this wasteland is poisoned. So what do we do? Before Silvara could answer, voices drifted across the wind. Human voices. She went very still. Get behind me. Stay quiet. A group emerged from behind the ruined tower. Not KRYLL. Mixed species. A dozen individuals wearing mismatched armor and carrying salvaged weapons. Refugees. Their leader was human, an old man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He stopped when he saw the dragon. Well, he said, that's something you don't see every day. A dragon with a human child. He made no move toward his weapon. We mean no harm, great one. Just passing through. Silvara studied him. You are far from safe territory. This place is empty for good reason. Safe territory is getting harder to find. The KRYLL expand every month. They pushed us out of our settlement 2 weeks ago. The old man gestured to his group. We're heading for the border colonies. Heard they still take refugees there. Lily stepped out from behind Silvara. The KRYLL attacked my village too. They killed everyone. Silvara saved me. The refugees stared at her, then at the dragon. One of them, a female of a species Silvara did not recognize, spoke up. The dragon saved you? But I thought dragons don't involve themselves in our wars anymore. She broke the rules for me, Lily said simply. The old man's expression softened. He approached slowly, then knelt in front of Lily. My name is Bowen, little one. What's yours? Lily. That's a good strong name. Listen, Lily, we have a small camp just over that ridge. Food, clean water we brought with us. Medicine. You look like you could use all three. Silvara moved between them. Why would you help us? We are strangers. Dangerous strangers. Bowen stood and met her eyes without flinching. I'm old enough to remember the Dragon Wars. Old enough to know what your kind could do if they wanted. But you're not attacking us. You're protecting a child. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. The KRYLL hunt us. Being near us puts you all in danger. We're already in danger. Have been for years. At least this way, we're in good company. He smiled. Besides, I've got medical supplies and your shoulder is bleeding through your scales. When's the last time you had that looked at? Silvara glanced back at her wound. She had been ignoring it for days. It is nothing. It's infected, Bowen said flatly. I can see it from here. You'll be dead in a week if it goes septic. Dragons can still get infections, right? Yes, Silvara admitted reluctantly. Then let us help. Consider it payment for all the stories we'll be able to tell. The day we met a dragon who saved a human child. Lily tugged on Silvara's leg. Please? I'm really hungry. And you need medicine. The dragon looked down at the girl, then at the refugees, then back at Bowen. Trust did not come easily after 3 centuries of isolation. But Lily's big eyes were impossible to refuse. Very well, but if this is a trap, I will be extremely disappointed. Bowen laughed. I promise you, we're too poor to set proper traps. Follow me. The refugee camp was small, but organized. Tents arranged in a defensive circle. A cook fire in the center. Children playing with makeshift toys. Normal beings trying to survive in abnormal times. They gathered around to stare at Silvara. She made herself as small as possible, which was not very small. Lily sat beside her, eating soup from a metal bowl. The girl had never tasted anything so good in her life. Bowen cleaned the dragon's wound with practiced hands. This is going to sting, he warned before applying some kind of medical gel. Silvara hissed, but held still. There, keep it clean, and it should heal properly. You're tougher than most. I am old. Old things learn to endure. Old things also learn wisdom. You saved this child. That took courage. Most of your kind wouldn't have. Most of my kind made the correct choice. I may have doomed us both, or saved both your lives. Time will tell. Bowen packed away his supplies. Listen, there's something you should know. The KRYLL put out a bounty. Enormous one. For you and the girl. Every hunter and mercenary in 3 systems will be looking for you. Silvara felt ice in her chest. How much? Enough to buy a small planet. They really want you back. Lily dropped her soup bowl. Why? Why do they care so much? Because you made them look weak, Bowen explained. One dragon destroyed their raiding party and humiliated their military. They can't let that stand. It would encourage others to resist. We need to keep moving, Silvara said. We have already stayed too long. That night, as they prepared to leave, one of the refugee children approached. A small boy with bandaged hands. He had been burned in his own village's destruction. Lily sat with him and told him about her parents. How brave they had been. How much they loved her. The boy listened and cried and finally smiled. Bowen watched from nearby. She's special, that one. Most kids her age would be broken by what she's been through. But she's helping others instead. She is stronger than she knows, Silvara agreed. She learned that from someone. Her parents did well. They departed at dawn. The refugees gathered to see them off. Children waved. Adults saluted. Bowen pressed a package of supplies into Lily's hands. For the road. Stay alive, little one. The galaxy needs people like you. Lily hugged him. Thank you for everything. Thank the dragon. She's the one who flew across a wasteland to keep you safe. Silvara spread her wings. The morning light caught her scales and made them shine like new metal. For the first time in centuries, she felt like she was doing something that mattered. Not just surviving, not just existing, actually making a difference. They took off together, guardian and ward, heading toward the distant mountains. Behind them, the refugees watched until they were just a speck against the clouds. Ahead lay more danger, more challenges, but also hope. The KRYLL ambush came 3 hours later in a narrow canyon. Silvara saw the trap too late. Nets fired from both walls. Energy weapons heated the air. She roared and twisted, protecting Lily with her body. The nets tangled around her wings. She was falling. The canyon floor rushed up to meet them. At the last second, Lily reached for the signal flare in their supply pack, the one Bowen had given them. She fired it directly into the lead KRYLL's face. The blinding light gave Silvara the split second she needed. She burned through the nets and caught the canyon wall with her claws. Kicked off hard, shot upward and out of the ambush zone. The KRYLL tried to follow, but their equipment was not built for vertical pursuit. They flew for hours without stopping. Finally landed on a quiet plateau under twin moons. Both were shaking. Lily's hands were burned from holding the flare. Silvara's wings had tears in the membrane from the nets. "You saved us," the dragon said. "Quick thinking. You would have done the same for me. We're a team now." Silvara lowered her head until it rested against the girl. "Yes, we are a team. Thank you, small one." Lily wrapped her arms around the dragon's snout and held on tight. The dragon's rest had been carved into the mountain itself thousands of years ago. Massive pillars held up the roof of the main cavern. Ancient writing covered the walls in languages few beings still remembered. Silvara felt the weight of history press down on her as she landed in the entrance hall. She had not been here in over a century. Part of her expected to find it abandoned. Instead, 3 dragons emerged from the shadows. All of them larger than Silvara. All of them radiating disapproval. "You brought an outsider here," the largest one said. His scales were deep bronze. His eyes were cold. "You know the laws, Silvara. No other species may enter this place." Lily pressed herself against Silvara's side. The dragon curved her wing protectively around the child. "I had no choice, Raymond. The KRYLL hunt us. She needed sanctuary. Then you should have died protecting her elsewhere, not brought your problems to our doorstep." A female dragon with green scales moved closer. Her voice was softer, but no warmer. "We heard the stories. You violated the oath of non-interference. You attacked KRYLL forces. You have made enemies of a powerful species for the sake of one small human." "Her name is Lily," Silvara said firmly. "And yes, I broke the oath. I would do it again." The third dragon, smaller and younger, actually laughed. "You have courage, I'll give you that. Stupid courage, but courage nonetheless. What did you think would happen when you came here? That we would welcome you with open wings. I thought you might remember what we used to be, before we hid from the galaxy, before we let fear make us small." "Careful," Raymond growled. "You speak of things you do not understand. There are reasons for our isolation. Good reasons written in the blood of millions." "I want to hear those reasons," Lily said suddenly. Her voice was tiny in the vast cavern, but clear. "Please." "Silvara won't tell me the whole story. She says it's not her place. But I need to know why you all hide here when people are dying out there." The 3 dragons stared at the human child. Raymond looked like he wanted to refuse, but something in Lily's eyes stopped him. "The council must decide this. Both of your fates, Kulme and pray they are merciful." They walked deeper into the mountain. The passages were huge, built for creatures much larger than even Raymond. Lily held tight to Silvara's leg, her small hand barely reaching around one scale. Other dragons watched from alcoves and side tunnels. Word was spreading. The Oathbreaker had returned. The council chamber was at the heart of the mountain. 7 ancient dragons sat in a semicircle. The youngest looked to be 500 years old. The eldest was something else entirely. Her scales had turned almost white with age. Her eyes held the weight of 1,000 years of memories. "Grandmother Frost," Silvara said, bowing her head. "I did not know you still live." "I linger," the ancient dragon replied. Her voice sounded like wind through caves. "Waiting to see if our kind has a future or if we're simply the last echo of a dead age. Tell me, child, why have you come here? And why have you brought this human?" Silvara told the story. All of it. From watching Ashwood Valley burn to the moment she broke her oath. The journey across the wasteland. The ambush in the canyon. Every word felt like a confession. When she finished, silence filled the chamber. Finally, one of the council members spoke. "You have violated our most sacred law. The punishment is death or permanent exile. I accept whatever judgment you make, Silvara said. But Lily is innocent. She deserves protection. She deserves to be with her own kind, another council member argued. We should send her to the nearest human colony and be done with this. No, Lily shouted. The word echoed through the chamber. Every dragon turned to look at her. She took a shaky breath and stepped forward. Please, I want to speak. Grandmother Frost raised one claw. Let the child talk. I am curious what she has to say. Lily walked to the center of the circle. She looked so small surrounded by dragons. My parents died protecting me. They taught me that you always stand up for people who need help. Always. No matter what it costs. Silvara did that. She saw me about to die, and she saved me even though it broke your rules. Laws exist for reasons, little one, Grandmother Frost said gently. We learned hard lessons long ago. Our interference caused more harm than good. But not doing anything also causes harm, Lily insisted. All those people in the refugee camp. All the villages the KRYLL destroyed. How many died because no one with the power to help chose to do nothing? One of the council members slammed his tail against the floor. You know nothing of our history, human. Nothing of what we lost when we tried to guide younger species. We started wars, destroyed civilizations, played God and failed. So you gave up, Lily said quietly. You decided it was easier to hide than to keep trying. But giving up means you let the bad people win. The KRYL keep taking, and no one stops them because everyone is too scared or too tired or too busy following old rules. Enough, Raymond said. This child lectures us about responsibility. She has lived barely a fraction of our years. She knows nothing. She knows enough, Grandmother Frost said. The ancient dragon slowly rose to her feet. Every other dragon in the chamber went still. Come here, little human. Lily walked toward her. Silvara wanted to stop her, but could not move without permission. Grandmother Frost lowered her massive head until her eyes were level with Lily's face. They stared at each other, dragon and child, age and youth. You are brave, Grandmother Frost said, but bravery without wisdom leads to tragedy. Let me tell you what happened the last time dragons involved themselves in galactic affairs. She told the story, how dragons had tried to stop a war between two species, how their interference escalated the conflict instead of ending it, how planets burned, how billions died, how the dragons realized too late that they had made everything worse. We withdrew because we could not trust ourselves, Grandmother Frost explained. Our power was too great, our judgment too flawed. Better to do nothing than to repeat our mistakes. Tears ran down Lily's face. That's so sad. You made one mistake and decided you didn't deserve to try again. But my dad made mistakes all the time. He burned dinner. He forgot Mom's birthday once. He backed the tractor into the fence. And every time, he said sorry and tried to do better next time. That's what good people do. They mess up and they keep trying anyway. Silence fell again. This time it stretched for long minutes. Finally, Grandmother Frost spoke. Out of the mouths of children. The wisdom we have forgotten. She turned to face the council. I propose a test. Silvara claims humans are worth saving. Worth breaking our oaths for. Let us discover if she is correct. What kind of test? Silvara asked. Travel to New Terra, the human colony world. Observe them. Learn about them. Return here with evidence that humans possess qualities worthy of our alliance. If you can prove this species has value beyond their short lives and simple technology, perhaps it is time we reconsidered our isolation. Raymond objected immediately. That is not how this works. She broke our laws. There must be consequences. There will be, Grandmother Frost said. If she fails this test, both she and the child will be exiled forever. They will never find sanctuary among dragons again. Is that consequence enough for you? The council debated for hours. Lily fell asleep curled against Silvara's side. Finally, they reached a decision. 5 dragons voted yes. 2 voted no. The test would proceed. Grandmother Frost gave them an old ship from the sanctuary's hangar. Dragon technology centuries ahead of most species. This vessel will get you to New Terra safely. But remember, Silvara, you carry the future of our species in your claws. If humans prove unworthy, we remain in isolation forever. If they prove worthy, perhaps we can finally come home to the galaxy. They loaded supplies and prepared to depart. As Silvara carried Lily toward the ship, the child woke. Did we pass? We got a chance. That is all I could ask for. Will the other dragons really help people if we prove humans are good? I do not know, but I promise I will try my best. Lily hugged her neck. I know you will. You always do. The ship launched at dawn, carrying hope and doubt in equal measure. New Terra looked like Earth must have looked thousands of years ago. Green forests stretched to distant mountains. Rivers cut through valleys where human settlements clustered. The colony world represented humanity's push into the frontier, far from the overcrowded core worlds. The dragon ship descended toward the largest settlement. People in the streets stopped and stared upward. Some ran. Others grabbed weapons. Fear was a reasonable response to seeing dragon technology appear unannounced. Silvara landed in the central plaza. Lily climbed down from a ship, her legs wobbly after days in space. Within minutes, they were surrounded by armed humans in uniform. A woman with gray hair and sharp eyes pushed through the crowd. She wore a governor's badge. "I'm Rachel," she said, "leader of this colony. Want to tell me why a dragon just landed in my town square? My name is Silvara. This is Lily. We come seeking help and offering information." Rachel looked at the child. "How old are you, sweetie?" "8," Lily said. "I'll be 9 in 2 months. If we're still alive then. Well, that's cheerful. Come on, both of you. Let's talk somewhere less public." She turned to her guards. "Owen, post security around their ship. No one touches it. Everyone else, give them space." They moved to the colony's meeting hall. Rachel sat across from them while other colony leaders gathered. A military commander named Owen stood by the door, hand near his weapon. "Not threatening, but ready," Silvara explained everything. "The attack on Ashwood Valley. The journey here. The test from the Dragon Council. We need to prove that humans are worthy of alliance. That your species has value beyond what the KRYLL see in you as slaves or resources." Rachel leaned back in her chair. "That's a hell of a thing to ask. How exactly do we prove we're worthy?" "I wish I knew," Silvara admitted. "The council did not give me specific criteria. I think they want to see how you react, how you treat strangers, how you make difficult choices." Owen spoke up. "Let me get this straight. Dragons have been hiding for centuries. Now one breaks the rules to save a human kid. Other dragons say prove humans are worth helping or they stay hidden forever. That about cover it." "Yes," Lily said. "Silvara broke all their laws for me. Now we have to show it was worth it." The colony leaders debated among themselves. Some wanted nothing to do with the situation. Others saw opportunity. One man named Peter stood and pointed at Silvara. "This thing destroyed KRYLL forces. There's a bounty on them. Massive bounty. We're struggling here. That money could buy us years of supplies. New equipment. Maybe even real defenses." Rachel fixed him with a hard stare. "Are you seriously suggesting we sell them out?" "I'm suggesting we think practically. We have 3,000 people depending on us. We can't risk everything for strangers." "They came here for help," a woman named Susan said. "They could have gone anywhere. They trusted us. That means something." The argument went on for hours. Lily sat quietly, listening to humans debate her fate. Some spoke of honor and doing what was right. Others talked about survival and hard choices. No one agreed. Democracy was messy. Finally, Rachel called for a vote. All in favor of sheltering these two and refusing any bounty. Hands went up. Rachel counted. 15 yes. All in favor of turning them over to collect the bounty. More hands. 18 yes. Lily felt her stomach drop. They were going to betray them. After everything, humans were going to prove the dragons right. Silvara moved to stand between the child and the door. Then an old woman stood up. She wore a teacher's simple clothes. Her name badge said Margaret. "Before we finalize this, I want to say something. I've been teaching children on this colony for 30 years. I teach them about honor, about standing up for what's right even when it's hard, about being the kind of people we want them to become. What exactly are we teaching them today?" Peter scoffed. "We're teaching them survival, reality. The universe doesn't care about honor." "Maybe that's the problem," Margaret shot back. "Maybe the reason the KRYLL win is because good people keep making excuses to look away. This dragon saved a child, flew across hostile territory to protect her, broke ancient laws because she decided one innocent life mattered more than rules. And we're seriously talking about stabbing them in the back for money. It's not that simple," Peter argued. "It's exactly that simple. We either stand for something or we don't. Every child in this colony is watching what we decide today. What lesson do we want them to learn?" Silence fell. One by one, colony leaders began to look uncomfortable. A young man named David stood. "I changed my vote. We help them." Another hand went up. "Me too." Then another. The tide shifted. When Rachel counted again, 25 colonists voted to shelter Silvara and Lily. 12 voted to turn them in. Peter and a few others stormed out. Rachel turned to Silvara. "Well, we made our choice. Hope it doesn't get us all killed." "It might," Silvara said honestly. The KRYLL will not ignore a dragon ship landing here. Then we better prepare. Owen started giving orders. I want defensive positions reinforced. Every able person armed and trained. If they come, we make them pay for every inch. That night, Lily helped organize evacuation procedures for children and elderly. She moved through the colony with quiet efficiency, calming fears and answering questions. People responded to her. This small girl who had lost everything but kept going. Margaret found Silvara watching from a rooftop. Your little one is something special. She is stronger than she knows. She learned that from you. From watching someone stand up when it would have been easier to look away. The old teacher smiled. You asked if humans are worthy of alliance. Let me tell you what I see. I see a species that fights among themselves constantly. We're selfish and short-sighted, and we make terrible choices. But when it counts, when someone truly needs help, we have this annoying habit of doing the right thing anyway. We surprise ourselves, just like you did when you saved Lily. Silvara considered this. That is not much to build an alliance on. It's everything. Hope and stubborn refusal to quit, even when we should. That's what makes humans dangerous. We don't know when we're beaten. The KRYLL arrived 2 days later. 5 warships dropped out of hyperspace and immediately demanded the colony surrender the dragon and child. Rachel's response was short and profane. The KRYLL opened fire. The colony's defenses were pathetic compared to military warships. But the humans fought anyway. They hit the KRYLL with everything they had. Silvara took to the sky, drawing fire away from populated areas. Lily coordinated evacuation from a bunker, her calm voice keeping panic at bay. The battle raged for hours. Buildings burned. People died. The KRYLL pressed their advantage, moving toward orbital bombardment positions. They were going to destroy New Terra as punishment for defiance. Then the sky split open. Dragon ships poured through the hyperspace portal. Dozens of them. Ancient vessels with weapons that made KRYLL technology look like children's toys. Grandmother Frost's voice boomed across all frequencies. You have attacked beings under dragon protection. This is unacceptable. The KRYLL fleet tried to run. They did not make it far. Dragon fire lit up the sky. Within minutes, every KRYLL ship was destroyed or fleeing at maximum speed. The dragons did not pursue. They had made their point. Grandmother Frost's ship landed beside Silvara's. The ancient dragon emerged slowly, surveying the damaged colony. We have been watching your test, monitoring your communications, listening to your debates. And? Silvara asked. And you were right. These humans are infuriating, argumentative, and foolish. They debate everything endlessly. They cannot agree on simple matters. Half of them wanted to betray you for profit. She paused, but the other half stood firm, chose principle over survival. And when the moment came, enough of them decided to be heroes instead of cowards. That is worth something. Raymond landed nearby. Even he looked impressed. The vote was close. Many wanted to give you up, but they didn't, Lily said, walking up to stand beside Silvara. That's what matters. When it counted, humans chose to do the right thing. That's what we do. We mess up a lot. We argue and fight and make mistakes. But we keep trying. Grandmother Frost lowered her head to look at the child. Out of the mouths of humans. Yes, little one. We keep trying. That is the lesson we have forgotten. Dragons withdrew because we feared repeating our mistakes. But the true mistake was thinking perfection was required before acting. She turned to address both species. The Dragon Council has made a decision. We will end our isolation. We will rejoin the galaxy, not as conquerors or guides, but as partners to those species who share our values, including humans. Cheers erupted from the colonists. Dragons roared approval. 2 years passed like pages turning in a book. New Terra became something unique in the galaxy. Humans and dragons working side by side. Children playing in the shadows of massive wings. Ancient wisdom meeting youthful energy. Lily stood on the same rooftop where she had hidden during the battle. She was taller now, her dark hair longer. The burned photograph of her family sat in a frame beside her bed, but the pain had dulled to an ache she could live with. She would never forget them. She would also never stop moving forward. That was what they had taught her. Silvara landed beside her. The dragon moved quieter now, more careful around the structures humans built. You are up early, small one. Though I suppose you are not so small anymore. I wanted to watch the sunrise. Today is special. The dedication ceremony. Are you ready? Lily nodded. They had rebuilt Ashwood Valley. Not exactly as it was, but as something new. A joint settlement where both species could live together. The memorial stood in the center, carved from a single piece of stone. Every name from the original village was listed there. Her parents, her brother, all of them remembered. They flew together to the valley. Lily rode on Silvara's back like she had 1,000 times before. But now she did not need the harness. She knew exactly how to move with the dragon's rhythm. They were partners. Family. The valley was full of people when they arrived. Colonists from New Terra. Refugees who had found their way here. Even dragons from a sanctuary came to witness this moment. Grandmother Frost stood beside Rachel. The ancient dragon and the human governor had become unlikely friends. Margaret organized the children into rows. She still taught, but now her students included young dragons learning to control their fire breath without burning down the classroom. Education was universal. Everyone had something to teach. Everyone had something to learn. Owen commanded the Joint Defense Force. Humans and dragons trained together now. The KRYLL had learned to avoid this region entirely. Word spread quickly when you had dragons on your side. The ceremony began. Rachel spoke about sacrifice and hope. Grandmother Frost talked about second chances and finding purpose after long isolation. Then it was Lily's turn. She walked to the memorial stone and placed her hand on her father's name. 2 years ago, I lost everything. My home, my family, everything I knew about the world. I was alone and scared, and I wanted to give up. Her voice carried across the silent crowd. But Silvara wouldn't let me. She saved me, even though it meant breaking every rule she believed in. She carried me across wastelands and fought off hunters and never once gave up on me. And because she did that, because she decided one life mattered enough to change everything, look what happened. She gestured around the valley. Dragons came out of hiding. Humans found allies. We built something new together. None of this would exist if Silvara had followed the old laws. If she had chosen safety over doing what was right. Tears ran down her face, but she kept talking. My parents taught me that you always help people who need it. Always stand up for what's right, even when it's hard. Silvara proved that lesson works. It doesn't matter if you're human or dragon or anything else. What matters is that you try, that you care, that you refuse to let fear stop you from being good. She turned to face Silvara. The dragon had tears in her eyes too. Dragons could cry. Lily had learned this during their first weeks together. Thank you, Lily said, for being my family when I had no one. For showing me that love doesn't need to be the same species. Thank you for saving me. Silvara lowered her head until it touched Lily's chest. Thank you for giving my life meaning again. For reminding me what matters. You saved me just as much as I saved you. The crowd erupted in applause. Human and dragon voices mixing together. Margaret wiped her eyes. Owen cleared his throat loudly. Even Raymond, who had objected the loudest to Silvara's choices, nodded approval. After the ceremony, Lily found herself surrounded by children. They all had questions. What was it like to fly on a dragon? Were dragons scary? Could she teach them dragon language? She answered patiently, remembering how scared she had been at first that a small boy raised his hand. Miss Lily, my teacher says you're a bridge between species. What does that mean? Lily knelt down to his level. It means I help humans and dragons understand each other. I show humans that dragons are kind. I show dragons that humans are brave. We're different, but we're also the same. We all want to be safe. We all want to be loved. We all want to matter. Do you still miss your family? Every day. But I have a new family now. And I think my parents would be proud of what we built here. They always said, make the world better. I'm trying. The boy hugged her. She hugged back, blinking away tears. Grief never fully left. But joy could exist alongside it. Her parents had taught her that too. That night, Lily and Silvara returned to their home in the mountain overlooking the valley. They had built it together. Dragon cave, meeting human comfort. Fire for warmth, books for learning, space for both to exist. They sat outside watching the settlement lights twinkle below. Lily leaned against Silvara's side. The dragon scales were warm in the cool night air. Do you ever regret it? Lily asked, breaking the laws, losing your place with the other dragons. Never. Not once. You gave me purpose, little one. Before you, I was just existing, waiting for time to end. Now I am living. That is your gift to me. I couldn't have survived without you. We saved each other. That is how the best partnerships work. A shooting star crossed the sky. Lily made a wish like her mother had taught her. She wished for peace, for understanding between species, for a future where what happened to Ashwood Valley never happened again. What are you thinking? Silvara asked. About tomorrow, about next year, about all the things we still need to do. Always planning ahead. Very human of you. Always worrying about everything. Very dragon of you. They both laughed. Below them, the settlement settled into night. Dragons and humans sleeping safely under the same stars. Children dreaming dreams where friendship crossed species lines. A future being built one day at a time. Somewhere in deep space, the KRWL Empire continued its expansion. Other threats lurked in the darkness between stars. The galaxy remained dangerous and unpredictable. But New Terra stood as proof that different beings could work together. That old hatreds could be set aside. That one dragon and one human child had changed the course of history by simply refusing to give up on each other. Lily fell asleep against Silvara's side. The dragon wrapped her wing around the girl like a blanket. She thought about the day she had dived from her mountain to save a stranger. About the choice that had terrified her. About breaking oaths that had stood for centuries. She would make that same choice again tomorrow. And the day after. And every day for the rest of her long life. Because some things mattered more than rules. Some bonds transcended law. Some lives were worth every risk. The twin moons rose higher. Silvara closed her eyes, but did not sleep. She never fully slept anymore. She kept watch, protected what mattered, guarded the future, sleeping peacefully against her scales that a dragon and a human child had started a revolution. Not with weapons or grand speeches, just with kindness, with refusal to accept cruelty as normal, with stubborn determination to be better than the galaxy expected. Other settlements were forming now, other dragons emerging from hiding. Other species taking notice that perhaps isolation was not the only answer to fear. Change spread like ripples in water. Started from one small point, one moment of decision. Everything began the day an ancient dragon saw a village fall and decided that one human child mattered more than 3 centuries of carefully maintained distance. Everything changed because Silvara chose love over law, and the galaxy would never be quite the same again. In the valley below, a night patrol of mixed human and dragon guards passed each other and exchanged friendly greetings. In the rebuilt schoolhouse, lesson plans sat ready for tomorrow, mixing human literature with dragon history. In the medical center, doctors of both species shared techniques and saved lives together. The memorial stone stood silent under starlight. Every name carved there represented a life cut short, a future stolen. But from that tragedy had come something unexpected, something hopeful. Something worth fighting to protect. Lily dreamed of her parents. In the dream, they were smiling, telling her they were proud, that she had honored their memory by building instead of breaking, by loving instead of hating, by moving forward while never forgetting. Silvara felt the girl shift in her sleep and adjusted her wing to keep her warm. The dragon looked up at the stars and thought about all the years she had wasted in isolation, all the time lost to fear and pride and stubborn adherence to rules that no longer served their purpose. And oh more. From now on, she would live. She would fight for what mattered. She would protect not just Lily, but all those who needed protection. She would be the dragon her younger self had always wanted to be before the weight of history had made her small. The night deepened. The settlement slept. Guardian and ward rested together on their mountain. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new struggles, new chances to prove that different beings could stand together against darkness. But that was tomorrow. Tonight, under twin moons and scattered stars, a dragon and a human child had everything they needed. Each other, hope, and the unshakable belief that love could bridge any divide if you were brave enough to try. The story that began in fire and tragedy ended in peace and possibility. Not because anyone was perfect, but because imperfect beings chose to care anyway, chose to try anyway, chose to believe that tomorrow could be better if they worked together to make it so. And in the end, that choice made all the difference.